37. Oh, no.
Hello, everyone. Those of you who are joining us through one of our many streams, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitch, YouTube, wherever you're joining us from, I want to say welcome to One Accord the Guild as we do the special Easter service Minecraft live stream. We have some pretty cool stuff to show you guys today. Some fun stuff. You know, this is going to be kind of like an interactive way of teaching and showing kind of what Jesus went through with the team here. So we have a few of us here. We've gotten here together. Jay or Unbroken, why don't you tell us exactly where we are right now? I think you are still muted.
Oh, well, now you're okay.
There we go.
So you sure you can't hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me
now? Yeah.
Okay, good. Weird. All right, so we are in our Nether Hub. This is a little shortcut area using some Minecraft mechanics that let us quickly walk all over our Bible universe. And we're at the entrance to our brand new Jerusalem area. And we're just thrilled to reveal it for the first time to the public and invite you to experience live what Jesus went through in the Bible times.
All right, so why don't we all go ahead and walk through here. All right, as you can see in front of us, you see Jerusalem, and this is around the year 33 AD. Jerusalem of the 1st century AD. Now we're going to walk through here. It's going to be interactive. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the things that we're going to look at. And if you have questions, please, those of you who are watching, please feel free to write in the chat. Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, we're on all of them. Please type a question if you have it in the chat. We'd love to interact and talk with you guys too. So why don't we go up the stairs here and actually get a view of what Jerusalem looks like. All right, here we are in Jerusalem. Now, Andrew, one of the Roman guards here, can you take us to our first location and tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here in this build here?
Sure. We decided to build Jerusalem because we want to tell the story about Jesus' last hours here on Earth. And it's exciting because this is a 1/3 scale model. And so we've got all kinds of homes and buildings and tried to recreate life as best we could to represent what it would have been like in Jerusalem at that time, the time that Jesus lived. And so it took us about just under 2 months. And here we are at our first location, the place where the disciples met to have the Last Supper.
All right, making sure I don't get lost here. This is a pretty big city here. All right, so here we are in this first. Oh, let's get a view from the outside here. A nice little build right here. This room was prepared for. Jesus had sent his disciples to the city, 2 of them, and they found this home that was someone that had already prepared this room for them. So why don't we go ahead and take a look inside. Here we have the entrance. All right, here we are in the upper room here. Now, as you can see here, there is bread already arranged. There is also the wine, the grape juice that has already been prepared. There is a station for the foot washing right here in this corner. And there's some fish, some more bread, right? Some more things around here. Now, I'd like for us to read a verse here to kind of talk about what we are looking at right now. I know we have the verse right over here. I can pull it up if someone can read that for us.
And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed and broke it and gave it to the disciples and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." Then he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many for the remission of sins." Also, can somebody teleport me to them? Because I can't fly for some reason, and I lost you guys.
Oh, Faith, can you bring links over here? So a little bit about this room here. So this is where, there you are. So this right here is where they had communion, and where Jesus told his disciples, take, eat. This is my body. Now, the way we know and we understand it is Jesus was talking symbolically here, that this symbolizes his body. In fact, it's going to symbolize the crucifixion and the shedding of his blood that he will experience very soon. Something I saw on online today, and someone posted this, where if doctor were to tell you you only have 24 hours left to live, how would you live your life? And most people would say something like, well, maybe I would go out and do something fun, maybe do a vacation, something fun like that. But Jesus, when he had less than 24 hours left to live, he decided to wash people's feet. And I thought that was pretty humbling. And so this room here is where all of this took place, where Jesus washed the disciples' feet. They partook of the bread, which is a symbol of his body that was about to be crucified, the wine, his blood that was going to be shed as well. And so all of this kind of took place right here in this room. We took some time to pay attention to some of the details that we have over here, some of the bread, and there's a balcony area, right, Andrew? There's a balcony area up here that we can
yeah, let's go
from.
up there and take a look around the city just so we can get a better view.
All right, so here's a better view of the city now. Now, how long have we been kind of focusing? I don't know if you had mentioned that already, but how long have we been working on this?
Like 2 months.
Yeah, about 2 months. We were building our way through Genesis, and we decided, hey, it would be really cool to do a story about Jesus during the Easter time and the resurrection story. So, yeah, we took a little pause and decided to build Jerusalem.
Now this is to 1/3 scale. Is that's correct? 1/3 scale.
1/3 scale.
All right. Yeah, we put a lot of work into here and detail. It's still not complete. There's so much more that we could add to it, but we feel pretty confident about how it looks right now. So from this point right here, yeah, here's a nice aerial view from Lynx's stream. There's a very good aerial view of the city, and we're gonna walk through it a little bit more. But right now, after the communion service, after they had this whole service here with Jesus kind of leading out in it and giving us a example of communion and why we do what we do, from there they went to the Garden of Gethsemane. Now I believe that Unbroken is over there right now, and I'll let him kind of lead the stream for now.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Garden of Gethsemane. And just want to say, it's not a coincidence that we are in a garden. The Bible is amazing how every little detail actually has a major reason behind it. The very first project we did was building the Garden of Eden. That's how the Bible begins. And if you know how the Bible ends, it also ends in a garden. So we come now to the middle of the story, and that's Jesus, just as he's struggling with the weight of the world and whether to go forward with the plan of salvation. And where do we find him? The Garden of Gethsemane. And let's talk about why it's called Gethsemane. And we're talking about Jesus struggling. Well, it actually means Gethsemane in Hebrew, I believe, or Arabic. It means olive press. And you can see behind me is an olive press. And this is one type. We have a donkey that might pull it around, and there'll be a giant wheel that can crush the olives, and you make olive oil with it. And it makes delicious food. It makes oil for lamps. It's just such an important feature of life back then. And even today, I put tons of olive oil on all my food. So imagine this being a symbol of what Jesus is going through during this period of his life before he goes to the cross.
And I want to add something to that really quickly. I actually learned this when I went to go visit Israel. They had told us that olive oil is pressed 3 times, and the olive oil that comes from the first press is the oil that they use for anointing. That's the most purest, the most cleanest, right? The second press is what they use for cooking, and then the last press, when there's hardly anything left, they use that for burning, for the lanterns and things like that.
And I think you could also make soap with it too. Probably that last press.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. Yeah.
So it's a source of light. It's a source of purification, a source of food. Amazing, all these different symbols in the sense that we associate even with Christ and his word.
Now, after they had left, it had turned nighttime, and Jesus brought his disciples out to this area, right over here. In fact, we have a verse here to read. If someone would like to read this one. Maybe I can read it. I can read it.
I can read it. I'll step up.
Oh, go ahead.
Then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane and said to the disciples, "Sit here while I go and pray over there." And he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and he began to be sorrowful and deeply distressed. Then he said to them, "My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch with me."
All right. So Jesus went off on his own to go pray. Now we have kind of this area here that symbolizes a little bit about where Jesus went, and these are all the olive trees here, and you can kind of see the olives on the ground just around them.
Messy trees.
All right, here we are at this stone right here. Now, there's something significant about what we see right here. And right here on this stone, we see what we're using to symbolize blood. Now, there's something interesting about this, and do we have a verse on that specifically here? If not, we can just mention it and links. I know that you have you want to mention a few things about this.
Yeah. So there is actually a condition that is called hematidrosis, and it's actually a medical condition where you actually bleed sweat under extreme stress. So people that actually have hematidrosis, I don't know if I'm saying that right, they actually, instead of sweat beating up on their skin, it's actually blood. And it usually happens around the face, and places where the lining of the inside of your skin. So like your mouth, your nose, your stomach. And then the areas will swell temporarily as well. So this actually is caused by extreme distress, such as fear, facing death, torture, severe ongoing abuse of any kind. So there is actually a biological reason that he would sweat the blood.
Who's the he, and why is it on this rock?
Jesus, because he was there praying in such distress because he knew it was coming.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And, you know,
and what's interesting, I was going to say, when he turns around and I think he talks to some of the disciples, he says, "I am deeply depressed." Almost, that's the type of wording he's using. So when people, themselves might be struggling with depression, things like that, Jesus was going through intense mental anguish even at this time, and knows exactly what we feel like when we go through our struggles.
Amen.
it's a comforting thought, to know that while Jesus did suffer, it is by the suffering that he went through that brings us comfort and brings us hope. And we're going to see more about that as we continue. So it was here in the Garden of Gethsemane where he was betrayed. We know what happened with Judas. He showed up with a bunch of Romans and the Jewish leaders, and he kissed Jesus on the cheek, and then they go and they arrest him, and all of his disciples, all of his friends left him. And it was Jesus by himself. And then from here, they went directly towards Pilate. Now we're going to make our way to Pilate, and if Andrew, if you can kind of lead us there.
All right, definitely. Let's go there.
I'm taking the shortcut. It's the scenic route.
So Pilate, he was like a governor of Judea. He was a Roman official that kind of was in charge over the area. And we're going to go to his place because that's where we took Jesus first to find out what he was guilty for.
So actually, I think we should clarify that he first was taken to the high priest. He went to Ananias
All right,
and
yes.
Caiaphas, and he went back and forth between the two of them. And eventually, then they hauled him off because the Jews did not have the right to kill Jesus because they were under Roman rule. They bring him to Pilate.
Oh, hey guys.
Oh,
Hello.
all right. So we get a nice view of the interior here of Pilate, his, where the prison and everything is, right? All right, so we can come out to the front here, right? Because we could say that out here is where they had taken Jesus, but the verse, we have a verse set up in here. Is that correct, Jay? Oh yeah, right over here.
Down below, down
Yeah.
here.
Right here. All right, and I can read this. I can read this one. This is found in Matthew 27, 11, 24. And it says this. Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus said to him, "It is as you say." And while he was being accused by the chief priests and elders, he answered nothing. Then Pilate said to him, "Do you not fear how many things they testify against you?" But he answered him not one word, so that the governor marveled greatly. It was, and to think about this, this man was being accused, and even Pilate knew, like this, he obviously Jesus didn't do anything wrong here, and yet Jesus is saying nothing for his own defense, and Pilate's almost like, this guy is willingly walking to his death. Who would want to do that? He's dealt with prisoners, and I'm sure all the prisoners at that time are like saying whatever they can, lying about their innocence, and here Jesus, who actually is innocent, is saying nothing. And so, yeah, he must have been marveled at everything that was going on with Jesus, right? And so I'm just going to take this right through here a little bit. Something else will happen over here as we come back, where we're just looking at all the prisoners that were kept here. So everyone can kind of get a view of what there is right here. I see
What was
lightning
that?
going on. So there's gonna be lightning going on throughout the day here. Now, as they were here, Pilate is like, you know what? This Jesus, he is not my responsibility. And he's like, you guys take him over to Herod. Take him to Herod. It's not my responsibility. Now, at this point, Jesus is he's been arrested, right? He's been handled roughly. You can imagine, right? This finally, after 3.5 years that they've had Jesus, causing them problems everywhere he went. Now they have him, and now they just really they're really trying to kill him. And so now after Pilate's like, you know what? Well, after he goes to the high priest and they can't kill him, take him to Pilate. Pilate's like, this is my responsibility, you guys. Take him to Herod. So now we're going to go to where Herod's palace is. And let me see, who's out here? Is this Andrew? Okay. Let's all come out here, and then we'll head over to Herod. And Jay, if you want to mention a little bit about Herod's place as we make our way there.
Oh, sorry. So we're going to Herod's place, and Herod is part of a lineage of kings. His ancestors were the ones who were responsible for Jesus having to flee because everybody of Jesus' age had been killed. And so he was extremely wealthy in this area, but he actually was just visiting in town. He was the ruler of Judea. I mean, not Judea, but the part of the area of Galilee where Jesus was really from. And that's why he gets sent, or why Jesus gets sent over to see Herod, because Jesus is a Galilean, and technically he's under the jurisdiction of Herod. And so Pilate and Herod right now are enemies, but he's really excited to see Jesus. Herod wants to meet this guy he's heard so much about. And now his enemy Pilate sends over this celebrity he's been yearning to meet. So now we are here in the courtyard of Herod.
And I like how you said, the celebrity, because honestly, that's what happened to Jesus. Because Jesus was, sure, he wasn't out there trying to become a celebrity, trying to become popular. He was out there just preaching the truth, just teaching the truth. And the way that he was teaching and the things that he was saying were so revolutionary to the Jewish leaders at their time that his statements started to echo all over Israel. And people would hear about, wait, there's this guy who can actually heal. And, he puts the Pharisees in their place. And it's just crazy. And so, yeah, he's definitely a celebrity. And there's so many people who are gathered around. But I wanted to read a verse. We have a verse here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And if maybe Andrew, if you want to read that.
Yeah, it says, now when Herod saw Jesus, he was exceedingly glad, for he had desired for a long time to see him, because he had heard many things about him, and he had hoped to see some miracles done by him. So it sounds like he was pretty excited to see this guy in his private time.
Yeah, probably thought Jesus was like a David Copperfield or like a Houdini, and like, I want to see some magic trick.
Yes. There's a few more verses, Andrew. Do you want to read those too?
Oh, we got some more. Then he questioned him with many words, but he answered him nothing. And the chief priests and scribes stood and vehemently accused him. Then Herod, with his men of war, treated him with contempt and mocked him, arrayed him in a gorgeous robe, and sent him back to Pilate. That very day, Pilate and Herod became friends with each other, for previously they had been at enmity with each other.
Man, these political powers, yeah, I know, right? These political powers just started to come together over here. So they mocked Jesus and even more, because they were like, okay, we have the celebrity of the Jews here, right? And he calls himself the King of the Jews. And now let's see some of the miracles that he is going to do. And Jesus didn't do anything. He didn't defend himself, nothing. And so he's like, I'm not going to see some magic trick today. Whatever. They mocked him, probably spit at him, put the robes on him, and they sent him back to Pilate's. All right, back to Pilate's it is.
Onward.
Getting some good exercise.
Let's get some, yeah. Exercise those leg muscles here.
And I think that's something we were observing the other day. It's actually a lot of distance that Jesus was probably traversing during this period of time, and he's, not getting food, probably not getting water, being mistreated, maybe bleeding, and yet he's still having to walk long distances.
Nice to see the residents of Jerusalem are just out here. All right, so now they brought him back over here at Pilate's. Remember, just the night before, Jesus had been sweating blood. All right, that's to get to that point shows the amount of stress that Jesus was already under, and now he's taken from place to place or all over Jerusalem, walking here and there while he was sweating blood. And now he didn't sleep all night, makes it even worse. And now here he is being accused wrongfully, and Jesus is saying nothing to his defense. And so here we are now back at Pilate's. Now Pilate examines him again, and Lynx, does he find any fault in him?
Nope. In fact, he's like, you know what? We should just beat him and then release him.
Yeah, that's what because he was like, you know what? There's nothing wrong with Jesus. Didn't do anything wrong here. He's like, let's just beat him. Just beat Jesus, give him the beating, right? You guys would be happy with that, and let him go. But let's read actually the verse here. And do we have this verse here somewhere, Jay?
Yep, I got 23? It.
Okay.
So, and they all cried out at once, saying, "Away with this man, and release to us Barabbas, who had been thrown into the prison for a certain rebellion made in the city, and for murder." Pilate, therefore, wishing to release Jesus, again called out to them, but they shouted, saying, "Crucify him, crucify him."
Man, that always gets me. Every time I hear that story, I'm just wondering, how could the people who did nothing wrong, they accuse him, and then they want to free the guy who was actually guilty of crimes, who was a leader of a rebellion, who did murder. And what were the other things here mentioned?
Yeah, murder and rebellion.
Yeah, murder and rebellion.
Yeah, he did everything.
So the people were like, "Free us Barabbas, free us Barabbas."
That still blows my mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many times I read that. It just blows my mind every time. Like, how would you want to free this guy who's just done all this? And then Jesus, who's done absolutely nothing, except for basically go around healing everybody in the area.
Yeah. And so
he challenged the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so now Pilate is like, all right, you guys can do what you need to with him. Essentially, he was like, my hands are clean of this, and yet in reality they weren't. He let all of this happen. So Andrew and Roque, I don't know if you are able to chime in as well, but tell us a little bit about what we're looking at right here. This, like, all the blood here, the wood, just what's going on here.
Yeah, so when they punish their prisoners, they would often tie them to some type of pole or column and then just whip them, but not just with like a leather whip. They would have this they would have like pieces of bone and metal stuck in the on the ends of the leather, and then they would whip their prisoners, and it would all the while it's not just hurting them, but ripping open their flesh and all kinds of gruesome stuff, and we see all the blood everywhere, and that was only just one part of what Jesus went through for us.
And this is now building on what he went through in the Garden of Gethsemane. He was sweating blood, walked around all night, all morning. All right, and now he's beaten here. And he's beaten almost to the point of death, but he's still alive enough that they force him to carry a cross. But it's right here where Jesus now is given the cross, or the cross is forced onto him. But he was not resistant to anything. He knew he had to do this. Or it's not like he had to, he chose to, because he loved us so much. So he takes the cross right here and now begins down the path of what's called the Via Dolorosa. And we will now begin down this path that Jesus would have taken, as he's already super exhausted. He has almost no life left in him, but it's his love for us and his will that's going to continue to push him forward as he goes down this path. And you can just imagine that it's lined with people who are some crying for him and some crying to crucify him. Get him out of here. We're done with this man.
I think we read too that when we were building this, we were talking about how he was probably only carrying the crossbeam because they actually had the main stack already in the ground and the location. So he was carrying that cross beam. It's often depicted that he's carrying the whole cross. But as we were building that, we were discovering that probably wasn't the case. He was carrying the huge cross beam that his hands would later get nailed to.
Right.
And what is this? Go ahead.
Yeah, you can just imagine how weak he was from being up all night and being tired, and then being beaten up by the soldiers, because not only things that we talked about so far, but just all kinds of stuff that was done to him, where they put a bag over his head and then they punched him and said, "Hey, you're a prophet. Tell us who hit you," and all kinds of just derogatory and just harmful and hateful things. And it's just really sad to read about some of the things that people are capable of.
Now, there's a little detail that we added right here. Andrew, right here against the mountain.
Yeah.
This right here is Golgotha. It's the place of the skull. Now, even today in Jerusalem, where they believe Jesus crucified, it does look like there is a skull there, or the head of a skull right there, and it's called Golgotha. And so we added this little detail in there to show the area where Jesus was crucified. And as you can see up there, there's already some crosses, and we're going to go up there and look at it just a little bit more.
Yeah, I like the legend that surrounds Golgotha. It's this idea that the skull, the place of the skull, is named that way because not only because of what it looks like, but because it was a place of Adam's skull. So the place where, kind of apocryphal, that where Adam was buried, that's the place where Jesus was able to redeem where Adam fell.
And
cool.
Yeah, how everything connects is really cool. And if I'm not mistaken, this is also the same mountain where Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac.
Yes.
Mount Moriah?
Yeah, Mount Moriah. That's correct. All right. Now, Jesus had to climb up all this. Now, they did force Simon of Cyrene to help Jesus with this. And so he took the cross. But Jesus was still having to walk all this. Maybe he had some people that were keeping him forward, or the Romans were as heartless as ever and not letting anybody help him up. And they would continue to hit him and to whip him, to curse at him, to spit on him, to do all kinds of bad things to him. And
I wonder if they want me to do
what was that?
slash.
Barely.
What was that, Rookie?
Wondering if they wanted me to do the slash storm thing.
I guess when we get there.
Yeah. So right here then is where it was crucified. Now the Bible mentions that there was two thieves there. And so people kind of think that perhaps there was only 3 crosses up here, but in reality, there would probably have been a lot more. There was a lot of crosses, but really only one is significant, and we're going to look at that right here. So Jay, do you want to kind of talk a little bit about crucifixion as we move on to this area here?
Sure. So it was by design, as the Romans wanted it to be one of the most humiliating, painful, long-lasting, torturous ways of death. And we tend to know the story. Jesus really well know that he didn't last more than a day on it, even just a few hours. But for most people, it would last 2 to 3 days. And if you look at the cross and you get really close, you can see it had this, the rough bark, the rough slivers in it. So every time you would have to get up to breathe, you'd have to pull up on your hands and your feet. And so you're putting the pressure on the nails, so you're getting excruciating pain just to breathe. And then as you stand up to breathe, your back is dragging against the wood. So you're getting all these slivers and wood poking in your back. So just every single moment is just pain upon pain upon pain. And if you're lucky, then the Romans would break your legs and force you to suffocate, rather than you having to wait 2 or 3 days for that to happen.
Death was always by suffocation, though, right?
Yes. So eventually you run out of energy. You just get so tired and fatigued that you just couldn't pull yourself back up on your hands and legs, and you'll just suffocate.
And you essentially drowned in your own blood.
Yes.
You can't breathe. Yeah.
Yeah, crucifixion wasn't meant to be, you die within an hour. Crucifixion was meant to last 3 days or more even. But eventually you would die. The end of it is you would die a slow, painful death by suffocation, or in a way by drowning too in your own blood. Now Jesus did not take 3 days to die. All right? He died, in fact, only within a few hours, Jesus died. Now, there's a verse I want us to read here. Do we have that verse here somewhere, Jay? Oh, is it back over here?
Yep.
Okay.
Over here.
Oh, wait, where exactly?
Oh.
Is it?
Down over here.
Oh, wait. Where exactly are you, Jay? Oh, here you are. Okay. Okay. And it says this. This is John 19:30. It says, "So when Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, 'It is finished,' and bowing his head, he gave up his spirit." Now, we want to do a little bit of a change of setting here, right? Just to add a little bit more of an effect here. So now Jesus, who is the creator of the whole universe, right? The word that spoke everything into existence, the hands that formed humanity, the Savior who carried everyone's sin to the cross. Now he had said, "It is finished." He gave up the spirit, or he gave up his breath, and died. And in that moment, the light, like lightning, like that, there was, you can imagine that it was a lot more than just a lightning. You can imagine the sky turned dark as well, and that there was more lightning. Roque, can you kind of change the setting here? Here we go. So now it gets. There we go. This is to add the effect here that the God of the universe had just passed away, had just died. And the people were completely unaware of what they were doing, and the Romans were too. Now there's another verse. Do we have the Matthew 27:51?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's head this way.
Matthew 27:51 says, "Then behold." Oh, do you want me to read it now? Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay. Then behold, the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earth quaked, and the rocks were split.
So when Christ died, man, you felt it. Everybody here felt it. I mean, there was
I'm not seeing
earthquakes.
the
and-
earthquake.
yeah, we don't have a input for an earthquake, but you could just imagine there's an earthquake. When you see the fire way out there, that's the temple. That's is in there is where the veil was torn, and we will look at that. We will look at that.
I'm actually
Oh,
there.
and I got something.
Okay.
Oh, and I got something to add. So it mentioned that the sky darkened. There was a solar eclipse at a time when it was a full moon, and you never really can have those two things happen at the same time. And so the Romans actually recorded that there was, this darkness, this eclipse when there shouldn't have been. Romans, secular Romans, recording what a strange day it was. And someone else just found how the Chinese, the ancient emperor back then, also took note, and they recorded that there was this strange day of darkness, and they felt like a god or something must have died that day.
It's funny is that they were right. God did die that day.
Can you put up that link for people later?
Yeah,
That's-
sure. I'll send you that.
Yeah, we should share that with everybody.
Yeah, that's really cool.
About I've never heard that about the Chinese emperor noting that too. That's really interesting.
All right. So now Jesus did not stay on the cross when the Sabbath came around, when Sunset Friday came around. He did not. He died before that. And it was interesting because the Romans were going to go and break Jesus' knees to kill him quicker. But when they went and they noticed that he was already dead, he died quickly on the cross. I mean, think about what he went through. I mean, he was sweating blood. He was beaten almost to death. He was carried around the city. He hadn't slept all night, and then on top of that, crucified. Man, no wonder. It was, and he did all of that carrying our sins. That's incredible. So if you want to change the weather now to kind of a more calm. Then Jesus he died on Friday before sunset, and they wanted to get him off of the cross and buried before sunset. So they took him over to the garden tomb, and we're going to go check out the garden tomb right now. But we're going to look at the garden tomb, kind of what happened 3 days later, or after the event had passed. Is there a way we can end the rain and put the weather back to something clear? There we go. And so they buried Jesus before sunset on Friday, and he was there Friday, and he was there Saturday. And then on Sunday, many call Easter Sunday, is when Jesus resurrected. And we're going to look at this right here. And Andrew, if you kind of want to read the verse that's there and talk a little bit about it.
So Matthew 28:6, I believe it is. It says, "He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come, see the place where the Lord lay him."
All right, so right here, they came in. The women came to go see the tomb. They wanted to anoint the body, and when they come here, to their surprise, the tomb, the door had been rolled away, and the tomb was empty. And standing by here was an angel, and it was that angel who said to them, "He is not here, for he is risen." That's such those words. He's not here, he's risen. Show that no matter what weapon, what craft, what evil thing the devil threw at Christ, he overcame all of that. And he is no longer in the grave. He has resurrected. He's gone up to heaven, and one day soon he will come back. Isn't that a comforting thought, guys?
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely incredible, because you just think of any other religion, their founder is still in the grave. And yet ours is alive with us today, and he's there doing something special for us even now in heaven. Maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves.
A little.
You know, when Jesus resurrected, he not only forgave us our sins, but he also took away the feeling of separation that sin brings. You know, those negative feelings that sin had brought in since Adam and Eve first sinned, up until even today, and until he comes back. You know, we don't need to carry those burdens anymore. Christ already took those to the cross, was crucified, and resurrected 3 days later. Now, there's a verse here that I want to read before we show kind of the final things here in our Easter presentation. Do we have Acts anywhere? Book of Acts?
Oh, we have to go to the Mount of Ascension for that.
Oh, okay. You wanna kind of lead us there?
Yeah, please.
Sure.
'Cause I actually don't know where that's at.
So I forgot, and in working on this, realized the Mount of Ascension is actually Mount Gethsemane, or Mount
Oh.
of Olives.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's interesting how we just keep coming back to garden.
It is.
And what's really cool is, in a sense, the gardens are going to merge. In Revelation, I mentioned we see the garden again in Revelation 21 and 22, basically describing Eden as part of the New Jerusalem, and the New Jerusalem comes down and touches down on earth, and it's going to return back here. So in a sense, this garden is going to merge with the Garden of Eden when it returns back to earth. Probably lost you, right? Probably never thought of that before.
I never
No.
thought of that, honestly. I mean, it's quite something. I've always wondered, like, what kind of plants and things that we never got to see that we'll get to see in the new earth. And animals. Things that are extinct, you know?
Yeah, living dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm. Everything.
Why is there a llama up here?
Well, somebody released a whole bunch of animals one day whose name might be Andy Rue. And apparently there just happens to be a llama up here.
A very nice llama.
They got out of Noah's Ark.
right?
All right, here's our final verse.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Nice.
You want to go ahead and read that final verse here?
Sure. So it's Acts 4:33.
Oh, I
it
like
says,
this sunset. Sorry.
And with great power the apostles gave witness to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and great grace was upon them all.
Amen.
And thus begun the Christian church. This is the origin of the Christian church. You know, our whole faith is centered on the truth of the resurrection. Without the resurrection, there would be no Christian church. There would be
right.
no Christ without a resurrection. There would be no Jesus. He'd still be in the grave, but as the angel said, he is not here. He is risen. And great power and grace fell upon the apostles and to God's church even today, until Christ comes back. Man, this is one of the central doctrine here in Christianity, and that is the resurrection. Right?
Yeah,
everything rests upon it. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, one of my favorite verses in Romans 6:5 says that since we have been united with him in his death, we also will be raised to life as he was. And I take that as a promise. So we
Oh,
have a
yeah.
hope that even though there's bad things going on around us and we see death and there's sorrow and pain, that one day God is going to do for us what happened to Jesus, and we'll get to be with him forever, and there won't be any kind of separation from God at all. There won't be any sorrow or tears or pain or suffering, because Jesus experienced that for us.
Hmm. What a comforting thought. So now with the last few bits here, there was some other builds that are pretty good, pretty detailed, that we want to show you guys before we end our stream here today. So of course, we know that when Jesus died, the temple veil was torn in two. And we want to show you guys the temple right now, and a few little other things. Wait, I'm lost here. Where is it? It's this way, right? Yeah, it's this way. It's this way.
Yeah, you want to go down kind of towards the beacon, and then it's like diagonal from the beacon.
Okay.
Oh, we forgot to turn it off.
We did.
All right, so here's the temple. Here's Herod's temple. And many stories of Jesus' life kind of happened here as well. The story where Jesus flipped the tables and everything, right? So this is built according to Herod's design. It's not the exact replica. It's a 1:3 scale. So it's a little bit smaller than the actual one. But we did our best to fit as many details in here as we could. Here's where the tithes go, and then I believe here is where the offerings go. And now we're moving into the courtyard where you had the altar of incense and the laver, where they would be cleansed before they go in. And now we move into the holy place. And over here you have the table of showbread, the altar of incense, and then the 7-branch candlestick. Now, the bread here represents, of course, the Word of God. The altar of incense represents prayer, and then the 7-branch candlestick represents sharing the gospel, letting your light shine, in essence. And these three things are are key essential pillars to Christianity, where you live a life of reading the Word, of praying, and then sharing the gospel. And then over here, where the temple veil was torn in two, you have the Ark of the Covenant. Done with the best we can with the mechanics that we have here in this game, right? As best as we could.
Though historically, the Ark of the Covenant would have still been hidden from the time the original Jerusalem was destroyed by the Babylonians.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There wouldn't have been the Ark here, but just so that kind of we get an understanding of how it.
It was the most holy place where the priest would still go for the atonement. Right?
I've heard some people say the room was just empty, but I don't think that would make sense. They must have had something that he would have sprinkled the blood onto, I would think.
Like a representative altar?
Yeah, like a
makeshift. Yeah, makeshift ark, something like that.
It might have even... I saw a special once where they talked about there even being wooden arks that were the representation of it, like carvings.
They found those?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Just Google it about the wood Ark of the Covenants. They found quite a few of them.
All right, let's go look at then the Ananias house and Caiaphas house. We have those that have been built as well. All right, who am I following here? Faith, I'm following you. Where are you going?
Yeah, where's it going?
Where are you going?
It's this way, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go.
It's right here.
I know where I'm going. Okay.
Okay, all right.
It's near the middle of down here.
Oh yes, I remember now.
Here's Ananias.
And
So
what was
Peter
this again?
Over here, he's like, "Oh, I don't know Jesus." He was standing by this thing over here.
Pastor Mike, will you tell us about the significances of Annas' house?
Well, this is the house of the high priest, right? And they had come here and they had spoken about Jesus. At first, this is where he kind of went before. So this is kind of a replica of his house, and I can see that there's lightning going on here.
I got my lightning. Sorry, I'm opening doors with lightning.
Yeah.
I make an
We should
entrance.
The Bible might be a little confusing to people because it refers to both Caiaphas and Ananias as Annas as the high priest. But it's kind of like once you've been president, you're always referred to as Mr. President. It's sort of the same idea. One was
that's
kind of
cool.
the retired high priest, and the other one was the then active.
That makes so much more sense now. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, that's a
It's
good
it's
bit of
like
information.
co-regent.
Why are they
Yeah.
on the furniture?
So this is Ananias and Caiaphas. Huh?
They saw a mouse.
Oh, mouse.
then we
This is
gotta
where their sleeping
send-
quarters were.
We should
Um,
show the people the market too.
Oh yeah, Market Street. Okay, so here's more of
This
Jerusalem.
campfire.
Every house was done by hand. The extra features here were done by hand as well. This is Market Street over here. You have apples here, grapes, water,
Wells.
wells. There's the entrance to the temple. Here's some carrots, and here's this guy who's selling carrots.
We're going for a swim.
We all jumped in the well.
Oh,
More
well.
apples.
Or lemmings.
Go get Lassie.
So this is the dry market, actually, like where all the fruits and vegetables and stuff would be, and then separated would be the wet market, which is where like the meat and fish would be. So this is the wet market.
Oh, I like what you did with the pictures of the.
And we thought we'd make it a little more clear.
Yeah.
fish.
So, this is just a few little more details that we've done here. We are a Christian group here, and we're open to. We like to do a lot of Bible builds in Minecraft, right? And we hang out here. We pretty much everybody. I mean, not every single day, but like every day, there's somebody here. They're hanging out in their Discord, and they're talking, and we're learning together, and we're building together. We have people of all ages who are on the server, and it's been fun. We drop in here and there, and we build a little bit more, and we just have a good time. Jay or anyone else kind of want to mention a little bit more about One Accord and kind of what we do there?
Yeah, so the idea is that we want to be a safe space for gamers, whether you're a Christian or you're just seeking and exploring, and to really give that community where we can just support one another. It's almost more about doing stuff together, hanging out, than it is even gaming. So we just invite everybody to come join us, and hopefully on any of our pages you can find how to connect with us on Discord.
And
And
people
we
have
also
been
have a website.
sorry.
So just going to ask for you to tell people how they can find us complete.
So, and we also have people that play like a lot of specific games, and then we have different chats for that, so you can connect with people that play. I don't know. You have a bunch of people that play Catan, so they meet in there to try to connect for Catan. And of course, we have the Minecraft people, but we have a lot of channels of various topics that people come there for. But you can find us at oneaccordtheguild.com. And of course, we're on social media, One Accord the Guild. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on pretty much all the major platforms.
TikTok. Don't forget TikTok.
Oh, yeah. We're just playing around with TikTok, so we don't have a lot of stuff right there. But
Yeah.
we're on TikTok. You can find us and interact with us, wherever. A lot of people seem to be messaging us through Instagram right now, which is kind of nice. I don't know.
OneAccordTheGuild.com.
Andrew?
Yeah, we would love it if people could come and check it out, because we love just people getting involved in whatever we're doing. We need video editors, we need people who like graphic design, we need people who are maybe want to help us start a small group, because we don't just want to play video games, but we want to make small groups where people can interact and ask questions and talk about the Bible, but just also talk about how life is going for them. Maybe you just need a place to decompress and de-stress and be blessed. So we really we really want to see you guys come on over and be a part of something that is geared towards gamers, creatives. Even if you're not a gamer, if you're just a person who likes to watch other people play games, because I know that's a whole thing. You don't even have a computer. But yeah, come on, check it out.
Yes, and we're there. There's all our information. You can find us. But I want to thank you once again for joining us for this Easter special. I hope that it was interactive and it was unique, but most importantly, you learned more about Jesus and what it was like for him. So I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in, for being a part of this.
And a special thanks to Roque for doing all of our special effects tonight.
Yeah,
Yes, Roque, thank you. He was the man behind the scenes doing a lot of the work here, responsible for a lot of the build too.
Kind of like weird.
So thank you, Roque. And I want to thank all the leaders as well too for all the hard work that we've done here. So stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more awesome builds. Join our Minecraft server. We have a lot of Bible builds already done, and we are working on a lot more. So I hope that everybody has a great rest of their day or evening, wherever you are. Be blessed. Happy Easter. And yeah, we will see you guys later.